Shalom, welcome to my channel, The Hebrew Bible. This is Moses Gumadi, and in this video we'll talk about the works of Elohim and the verbs of creation. The verbs of creation that God, Elohim, has used in the book of Genesis chapter 1, but also a few verses of Genesis chapter 2, ending with verse 3. So all these words, there are 12 verbal roots that are used in Genesis, starting from verse 1, chapter 1, verse 1 onwards from this place, until chapter 2, verse 3, where the seventh day ends. Okay, so those are the 7 verbs we are going to look at, but I will also show you for each verb, what did he do, where does this verb apply, etc. And in the final analysis, I will show you which verbs were used on which day, and we'll look at the patterns that are there. And so stay on, please, and we will begin with our first verb, Bara. So obviously in Hebrew, just remember, when we are talking about the root, it is without the vowels. But if you put the vowels on the basic root like this, we get a third person masculine singular kal katal pattern. Bara here means he created. So this verb then occurs in multiple locations within Genesis as pertaining to the creation of the heavens. So Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim. So Shamayim was created. Haaretz, the earth was created. And the next time God used this verb bara was in relation to Hattaninim Haggedolim. These are the sea creatures, the great sea creatures that he has created, the whales and maybe leviathans, whatever that were there in the sea he has created. The verb bara is used for heavens, earth, and the sea creatures. And then it is used for man. So only these 4 occasions bara is used in chapter 1. And in chapter 2, of course, when he concludes, then he says that all his works, Kol Melakto Asher Bara, so that's what we read. So all his works that he has made, but it's a generic usage, but really, specifically speaking, these 4 are the ones to which Bara applies. The second verb, Rachaf, occurs only once and only once in Genesis chapter 1 verse 2 with regards to the Spirit of God hovering upon the face of the waters. Ve'haaretz hayata tohu vavohu ve'choshek al pene tehom ve'ruach Elohim merachefet al pene hamayim. Merachefet is the word, and that means hovered or brooded upon the face of the waters. So that is a singular reference. There is no other place where this word is used in the creation narrative. Also here, this verb, it says not directly Elohim, it says Ruach Elohim, the wind of Elohim, a spirit of Elohim has hovered over the face of the waters. Now, the other verb that we have is Amar, to speak, not to speak, to say, to utter. That's the third verb used by God. And the first thing he said is Vayomer Elohim Yehi Or, and then Vayehi Or. God said, let there be light. So Amar is really to say, to utter. So he said, and there was light. Let there be light. Yehi Or. That's the first occasion. And then we have Yehi Rakia. That is, that there be a firmament. Firmament as in a space, an expanse, a space which divides up the waters above the firmament and the waters below the firmament. Let the waters, and then the third case is Yikkavu Hammayim Mittachat Hashamayim El Makom, meaning let the waters which are under the heavens be gathered into one place. So this is the third saying that he has made. So Yahi Or, Yahi Rakia, and then the waters, Hamayim, gathering together into one place as the sea. And then later on he says, Vayomer Elohim, we read, Vayomer Elohim is how it all begins. Tad she ha'aretz deshe. So this is, let the earth sprout vegetation. Esav mazriya zera, etc. So all the things that have the seed in it and all that stuff. Let the earth sprout vegetation. This also by the word he said, and it came to be. And he also said, Yehi me'orot birkia hashamayim. So let there be luminaries in the heavens to give light, to rule, etc. So these are the 5 occasions when he said Amar. Oh, well, that's not the only 5 occasions. If you see, actually later on I will show you a chart where he has used the word Amar. He pretty much used throughout all the days of creation. Later on he said, Yisretsu Hamayim Sheretz. Let the waters swarm with the swarming animals, the swarming fishes and creatures, scraping things or whatever they are, like in the waters. So swarms of fishes or small sea creatures. And later on he also spoke, Vayomer Elohim Peru Uru Umilvu. So he told them to be fruitful and multiply and fill the seas. Right? So this is to them. This he spoke as well. And later on he spoke to the earth. Let the earth produce the living. Totse ha'arej nefesh. Nefesh chaya. So whatever the earth produce the living creatures. And then when he made man, we read Na'aseh Adam Betzal Menu. So he says Vayomer Elohim. So what did God say? This is what he said. Let us make. So that is, of course, then he went ahead to make him. But before that he said, let us make. So that's the saying that we are mentioning. And also he tells them later on, Vayomer Elohim Peru Uru Umilu. So let be fruitful and multiply and fill. The same thing that he said to the waters, the swarming fishes in the sea. He told the same thing to mankind. Peru, be fruitful, Uruvu, become great, multiply, and Umilu. So fill the earth. Milu means fill. And later on he told the man whom he has created, Hinne natati lachem, I've given you all these things, whatever herb with the seed and all those things God has given. Okay. So this is what we see about the verb Amar, which is of course a very most frequent verb that occurs in the creation narrative, Amar. Next we come to Ra'ah. So Ra'ah, which is to see. Okay. And that, to summarize really, God saw 7 times in the scriptures, all the days except the 2nd day, and twice on the 6th day. So 7 times distributed over 6 days, so twice on the 6th day, one time, like he saw 7 times. So 7 times we see, not even once on the 2nd day. Okay. That's about the root Ra'ah. Next we come to the verb Badal, which is to divide. To divide, what did he divide? Well, he divided between the light and the darkness. Vayevdel bein ha'or uvein ha'choshek. Between the light and between the darkness. So he separated or divided, separated. It's basically sorting. If there are colored marbles, or like a blue and green and yellow, all those things mixed up together. if you're sorting them out by the color, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create information. So from from entropy. From entropy, you're trying to create information. You're sorting them out. So bein ha'or ubein ha'choshek, between light and darkness, he makes a separation. Also, he makes a separation between the waters which are above the firmament and those below the firmament. Bein hamayim asher me'al larakia ubein hamayim asher mitachat larakia. So the ones which are below the rakia and the ones which are above the rakia, he separates them with the rakia or with the firmament. And then we come to this verb Qara. Qara means to call out or to name or to speak or to read. All these meanings it can have. Also, to call upon the name of God is also Qara. And what did he call? He's basically giving the names. He called Qara la'or wa ikra la'or yom. So he called light day. V'lachoshek Qara laila. And he called the night, he called the darkness night. He called the darkness night. And then we read Larakia Shamayim. And he called the firmament, Rakia, Shamayim, heavens. And then Layabbasha is the dry land. And to the dry land he called earth, Eretz, or land. And finally, Mikveh Hamayim, the collected waters. Mikveh, this is the same word as the baptismal tank, not the Christian baptismal tank, but the Jewish mikvah is basically this word. Mikveh, the gathered waters, he called it the seas. Seas. We don't read the seas verse here. Or the gathering of the waters, he called the seas. So that brings us to the next verb of creation, Assa. Assa means to make, or he made, with the vowels. What did he make? He made the firmament, Harakia. He made the two great luminaries, Shenei HaMe'orot, and he made the beasts of the earth, or the animals, the living creatures of the earth, Chayat Haaretz. And then he also said, let us make man in our image. So that's Adam. He said, Na'aseh Adam Betsalmenu Kidmutenu. So Adam was made, Assa. Kol Asher Assa. Later on we read that everything that he has made, that we see in Genesis chapter 2, verse 2 or 3, one of those verses. But basically these are the four. Firmament, great luminaries, the beasts of the earth, and the man are done, made, Assa. That's the verb used. Then we get this verb Natan. Natan means to give. And it occurs only twice. And in first time we read Vayiten Otam, where he has given them, given whom? Given the luminaries, what? A place in the Rakia, in the heavens. So God gave the luminaries a place in the firmament. Basically, what it means is he set them. And later on we read that God gave the man Kol Esev Zorea Zara, all the herbs that have seed, plus all the other things that he mentioned, basically vegetation that that he gave to man as food. So that's the food that he gave, Natan. So Natan is the verb, the food he gave to man. Now let us look at the verb Barak, which is to bless. To bless. What did he bless? Asher Shartsu Hamayim, the sea creatures that swarm in the sea. Right? And they are the ones which basically, he said, be fruitful and multiply and reply. Peru, Uruvu, Umilu. We read that in the saying that he said in the Amar, under the Amar, right? Under the verb Amar, he said, Peru, Uruvu, Umilu'u. So he told them to multiply. And he also told man to multiply. And here we read Etha Adam, he blessed the man and he blessed those swarming sea creatures. And he also, of course, blessed the birds of the sky, Kol of Kanaf. And then finally he blessed the seventh day. At Yom HaShevi'i. Yom HaShevi'i is the seventh day he blessed. That's Barak. The next verse, the next verb is then, well, not one, I'm going to look at all the three here. Kala, that is to finish, to finish the work. And Shavat is to cease from working. So cease, end, cease. The Kala is to end, to finish. Shavat is to cease. And then Kadash is to make it holy or to sanctify. All three of these verbs are used on the seventh day. So on the seventh day, God finished, that is Kala, and he ceased, and that is Shavat, from which the word Shabbat comes from. And he sanctified, which is Kadash. So he sanctified the seventh day. So then if we look at the whole spectrum of all these 12 verbal roots, Bara, Rachaf, Amar, Badal, Qara, Assa, Natan, Barak, Kala, Shavat, Kadash, all of these, there is a bit of a pattern you can see. First 6 verbs out of the 12 are used on day 1. And on day 1, the next 6 do not occur. It's very interesting. These are put in the order in which they occur. So, in the order of the first occurrence of that verb in the whole book, if I have ordered them, right? So, the first 6 occur on the day 1. And the day 1 doesn't have the next 6, interestingly. Now, the next 6 are covered from day 2 onwards until day, on the next 3 only are covered from day 2 to day 6. And then the final 3 are covered in the day 7. It's a very interesting pattern here. Also, if you look at horizontally, there is some pattern. This Amar, where God said, he said every day. This is the only verb, Amar, which he said every day, of course, except on the day 7, which is the Shabbat. And Ra'a, which to see, he doesn't see that it is good on the day 2, for whatever reason. But in day 6, he says it is good. Twice he says it is good. So this one is a bit missing. Badal, if you see, to separate, he does it only for the first 2 days. And then no separation in the later days because it's mostly the creation. Also, Qara, if you look at, so this too, Badal, is obviously, I'm talking about the words in relation to Elohim. In all these cases, Elohim is the subject of the verbs. Qara is used in the first 3 days, and the next 3 days and the Shabbat it is not there. So Qara is basically naming the things. He called it the heavens, he called it the earth, he called it the day, he called it the night, he called it the heavens, he called, etc. All those things we see. Assa has a very interesting pattern. It's on the 2nd day, on the 4th day, on the 6th day. It's an alternative days. Assa. Natan, again, 4th day and the 6th day. And Barak, blessing, he blesses the animals, basically the sea creatures and the birds, etc. on the day 5, and also man on day 6. And he blesses the Shabbat on day 7. So it is this word, Barak, blessing, is that which links the creation with the Shabbat. This is the only verb, Barak, which is shared between the 6 days and the 7th day. The other 3 remaining verbs are essentially exclusive to the 7th day. And what are they? They are Qara, to finish, to put an end, and Shabbat, to cease, to desist from working, and Kadash, to make it holy or to sanctify it. You can just pause and look at the patterns and see, maybe you can discover other additional patterns going back and looking at the text. Depending on what is created on these days, there are other patterns one could discover. That is not my intent in this one, but basically I wanted to look at the verbs. So I hope you like this video. Please do like and subscribe, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Click the bell icon. Also, please do comment below, and I will see you again with another video as soon as I can. Thank you very much.